Craco, Italy. For those world travelers who are looking for a spooky trip off the beaten path, you may want to head to the small medieval village of Craco, Italy. Located about 25 miles inland, the village was once inhabited by the Greeks. Tombs have been found on the island that date from the 8th century, but earthquakes, landslides, and a lack of fertile farming land led the original inhabitants to abandon the town. Back in its heyday, the town boasted a university, a prison, large plazas, and even a castle that later became the landmark of the village. With an average of 1,500 residents over the centuries, a plague struck the village in 1656, which killed hundreds. As the town slowly bounced back, it grew large enough that residents decided to split the town into two separate districts. But most residents later fled to settle in North America because the land was so resistant to farming. As a series of earthquakes continued to take a toll on the town between 1959 and 1972, much of the village was severely damaged and rendered uninhabitable. The unique location with its undulating hills became a popular place to shoot movies, with The Passion of the Christ and the James Bond movie Quantum of Solace filming in Craco, a beautiful location whose inhospitable land and remote location made it a difficult place to live. Cape Romano Sea Huts. On the southern tip of Marco Island in Cape Romano, Florida, there are a series of strange dome houses sitting in the sea. Rumors swirl that the structures were once home to a secret cult or buildings left behind by extraterrestrials, but the reality is far less strange. The homes were built in 1980 by a retired oil producer named Bob Lee, who had the idea to create self-sustaining solar-powered homes. Bob's daughter, Janet, grew up visiting one of the homes during vacation, and as an adult would often hear locals talk about the mysterious-looking houses. Janet and Lee's grandson lived in one of the homes up until 1993, even withstanding minimal damage from Hurricane Andrew. But family visits to the home started dwindling, and when other homes in the area were slowly abandoned after storm damage, the Lees decided to sell. In 2005, Hurricane Wilma caused extensive damage to the domes and washed away part of the coastline. Thinking that a sea wall might help protect the homes from rising sea levels, the new owners were disappointed when the Department of Environmental Protection ordered the houses to be evacuated. Now abandoned, the homes are almost submerged and are only accessible by boat, but they do still enjoy the occasional visitor who goes there to fish. If you feel a little sad that Bob Lee's invention is being reclaimed by the sea, you don't have to feel so bad. His innovations went far beyond the futuristic-looking houses. Underfloor heating and an automatic log delivery system that drops logs into the family's fireplace were other things Lee invented, so he did okay. The Ellis Island Immigrant Hospital. Ellis Island is famous for being the gateway to America for immigrants coming from overseas in the 20th century, but it may surprise you to know that one of the buildings on the island that played an important part in the lives of many of the immigrants is now abandoned. The Ellis Island Museum is the one that most people instantly recognize when thinking about the U.S. Immigration Station, but a hospital complex that operated from 1902 to 1936 and was known as the first public health hospital in the United States sits abandoned. Between 1901 and 1924, about 10% of the arrivals at Ellis Island passed through the now abandoned hospital, which sits on the south side. The complex was a psychiatric hospital for soldiers and later turned into an internment camp for 8,000 German, Italian, and Japanese Americans during World War II. But before that, the massive complex, consisting of 11 pavilions, welcomed immigrants from all over the world. With different wards for various diseases, including measles, tuberculosis, and the whooping cough, the facility had approximately 450 beds throughout. When the first immigrants arrived in the United States, doctors took a few seconds to determine if they were healthy enough to enter the United States. At the hospital, doctors, surgeons, and nurses performed innovative procedures for the first time, such as using x-rays, as well as delivering about 350 babies. Within the 2 decades that the hospital was operated, approximately 3,500 patients died on site. Ellis Island actually consists of 3 islands joined together at the west side by the new ferry building built in 1936. Despite its current state of decay, the Ellis Island Immigration Station is an important part of U.S. history and one that stands as a reminder of those who came to this country in search of new opportunities. Ghost metro stations of Paris. With a city like Paris, you would expect their extensive transit system to go through a number of changes over the years, but when new stations are introduced, others are abandoned, leading to a number of ghost stations, some of which were closed at the start of the Second World War. These ghost stations are just as they sound, abandoned tunnels under the City of Lights. These mysterious and rundown stations are perfect for urban explorers on a quest. In World War II, many of the stations had to be closed because the workers were called up to the front lines to fight. Needing to cut costs, facing a lack of personnel, many of the stations near some of the most well-known areas of Paris were closed, including the Champ de Mars near the Eiffel Tower and one on the Latin Quarter, to name just a few. But these historic stations are not just sitting empty, gathering dust. Some have been used as filming locations, while others are used to maintain trains or to train technicians, engineers, and electricians. In 2014, one of the mayoral candidates included the idea of turning old metro stations into cinemas and underground pools in her campaign. But when she lost her bid, her plans too fell by the wayside. For now, you'll just have to romanticize about the secret history of these abandoned train tunnels and empty platforms beneath Paris. China's Wonderland. Wonderland in China was supposed to be Beijing's version of Disneyland. Developers promised the largest amusement park in Asia, but now the Fantasyland has been abandoned since 1998. Set on 100 acres of land 45 minutes from the center of Beijing, Wonderland never made it past initial construction. Why not? Wonderland was pretty advanced in its construction, so there were rumors that the land was haunted or that they had come across a mass grave. However, it seems like the project ran out of funds and was just left half-built. An ugly dispute over the property ensued between the local government and farmers, who had been forced to give up their land for the project to be built. Now there are just skeletons of the place, a palace, a village, and other structures in the middle of a desolate cornfield. There's discarded furniture, rusted steel, and decaying cement, and a thick layer of dust on everything in sight. Also that eerie and creepy silence. The former residents began reclaiming the land bit by bit and started growing crops and raising livestock again. The skeleton palace watched over them until it was officially demolished in 2013, despite efforts to revive the park.